Yeah, I played, I played tennis the night before the game. I couldn't sleep and I was rooming with Chris Waddle. And I could hear so I got excited and I said, Chris, I'm just going for a walk. It was like 10:30 at night and I could see the two Americans playing tennis. So I went in and I said, hey lads, can I have a game please? And they went, yeah, all right then. So I started challenging the two of them for about 45 minutes the night before the semi-final.
Funnily enough, the first time I ever met him was at Wrexham. It was England versus Wales. I got a call up. Gordon Milne, the manager of Leicester, called me at home. I was a late call. It was like a Monday morning for a midweek game. And he said, the England manager's been on the phone and he wants you to get up the motorway to Wrexham. He said, come in and pick your boots up. So I thought, wow. So I drove all the way up. And
I was working me knackers off trying to beat him. I was sweating and Bobby Robson come and he shouting, Gazza. I went, ooh, and he come past me and I dropped the racket. And he went to the two Americans, what are you bloody doing? What are you doing? Do you know who he is? And the Americans said, no. Do you know he's got the biggest important game in his life tomorrow? And you're playing bloody tennis with him? And like probably the two Americans was looking at him. So I ran and I heard him, come here Gascoigne, get back.
I remember walking in and all sorts of star players in there, Brian Robson, Tony Woodcock, Peter Shilton, Trevor Francis, they're all sat around. It was like all these people that real heroes of me, and he came straight over and put an arm around my shoulder. He introduced me to everyone, and it was great. And then I was on the bench, and I remember in the second half, he just looked down the bench and he was looking at me and he went, Garth, get warmed up. He wasn't the best with names, it was Bobby. True story.
So I ran to the room and I went to Chris Waddle, if he knocks on the door, I'm sleeping. He went, oh, it doesn't matter. So I've jumped in the bed and knocked on the door. And Chris went, hello, Gaffer, where is he? Chris went, he's sleeping. He can't be sleeping, he's just been playing bloody tennis, 10:30 at night. And Chris Waddle looked at us like that and I went, and I'm waiting and sweating. He went, Chris just shook his head.
He was doing a book signing session in Newcastle and a guy had said to him, I bet you've done hundreds of these today, haven't you, Bobby? And he looked up at the guy and he said, yeah, you wouldn't believe it, I've done actually hundreds. And there he was, sort of signing away. And the guy got home and he'd said to Robert, best wishes, Bobby hundreds. So he's looking at the guy, instead of writing Bobby Robson, because he'd said he'd done hundreds, he's written Bobby hundreds. So that was one of many.
So the next morning, he pulled us to the side and he went, look, he's up against this player, he's up against this player. And do you know tomorrow? He says, you, and he says, you know today, you, he says, Matthias, he says, you're playing against the best midfield player in the world. And I looked at him and I went, no, he is. And I walked off and I looked around 20 yards later and he's got his head on the floor going, to see what can I do with this lad.